Hello and welcome to Become the Teapot. I'm Iain.
And so am I.
On the 27th day of September 2020, the first episode of Become the Teapot, a podcast about comic books and their adaptations, was released. This was unusual only in the fact that Iain and Iain did not have a podcast when the day first began. Iain, eccentric comic book reader and adventurer, resolved to locate and ensure that Iain read as many of these comics as possible. So far, they have read 49 different titles, recorded 45 episodes, and featured 7 guests. There is no connection between these numbers.
But what there is a connection between is the intro and the episode, because, as you may have guessed, we're marking the return of the Umbrella Academy by revisiting the first season of the show on Netflix.
And what better accompaniment to the first season than the first arc of the comic, Apocalypse Suite, by Gerard Way and Gabriel Barr. Well, considering the show borrows heavily from the second arc as well, probably that too, but we didn't read that one, so the first is all you're getting.
Right, so I've been told the world will end in 8 days, so we better get started. Alrighty, hello.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Here we are.
Right, as per usual, do you want to preamble away?
Let's do this. Okay, so the Umbrella Academy, in both TV and comic book form, is about a family of superpowered individuals who are adopted by an eccentric billionaire to fight crime and must band together to stop an impending apocalypse. So far, so X-Men, but unlike Marvel's Merry Mutants, the Hargreaves are especially messed up by their father's parenting, entirely unwilling to work with each other, and are possibly as much a danger as they are heroes.
Yeah, so last episode we discussed that you're not a fan of revisiting TV shows. So were you enthusiastic about this? Did you enjoy going back to it, even though you knew what was going to happen?
No, that's not
No.
fair. No to all of the above. No, I was not enthusiastic about going back to it. I'll be honest. I enjoyed the show. I remember enjoying it the first time around, watched the second series, so this is nothing about the show itself, but I really put off going back and watching this, and I ended up binging it over the course of 2 days in the end, which is not the optimal way of watching it, but I was just watching anything else. So, yeah, not the best way of watching it, as I've watched, I think, 7 episodes on the first day and 3 on the second. So, heavy binge session.
Fair enough. Second time?
Second time.
Sorry, not third even.
No, not third. Not third time. No, I probably won't be a third time. No, overall I like it. I do like the show. And I did enjoy watching it on a second turn through, but I definitely found myself wavering at times and wandering off and coming back. You know, like we were talking about last episode, where it's sort of background noise at that point. I do overall like it. Now, I'm right in saying that you've watched this show before as well?
Yeah, I was trying to think about this, because I'm pretty sure I watched it on my own, and then me and Kate watched it together, and now we watched it again.
Right.
But Kate seems to think the first time that I watched it was with her.
Okay.
So this could be second, could be third for me. I don't quite know. But yeah, I have watched it before, is the answer to your question.
And as you've watched it either 2 or 3 times, I presume you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I do. It is quite a slow burn. It's not as attention-grabbing as The Boys.
No.
And I quite like that we've got 2 shows back to back. You know, this has a lot of air of intrigue and mystery.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't like it, because I do. I found The Boys was very in-your-face and violent, and this is more like, who are they? What's going to happen? I don't quite understand where this is going exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely get what you mean, though, because whilst I do enjoy it, I do find the pacing to be glacial at times. You know, certain beats and character moments are repeated, perhaps unnecessarily, and largely because obviously they've taken the bare bones of the comic book, which is quite a slim tone, and obviously far lighter than the series, but they've really taken that basic story and characters and fleshed them out, and then merged some stuff, as I said with the intro, with some stuff that came in later volumes. But it does mean that I do think that at times it can feel a little bit
just slow in general.
Yeah, a little bit decompressed, perhaps. A little bit, treading water until it can get to the next point. I do think that 10 episodes is a good length.
Yeah.
Boys, 8 episode. Last episode was a good length as well. I'm glad they didn't go the Marvel Netflix route and go 13 episodes per series, because I feel like that would have really, with all of those shows, there was a lot of extra padding in there, and all of them could have benefited from just being a little bit tighter. But no, I think 10 is about right.
I do like how it's put together and the use of overlapping flashbacks and the different angles of the same scene. There's even an episode that didn't happen, the day that wasn't, the day it was. I quite liked that.
Yes.
But I do find that the flashbacks can be overkill at times. It will show you something that happened in the last episode in a flashback, but you've already seen it because it's in the last episode.
Yeah.
It's just a bit too much.
Yeah, I like that there are some stylistic decisions with regards to the direction and making things a little bit quirky and offbeat. But yeah, things like that sometimes didn't always work. More often than not they did, but occasionally this is that thing again about repeated moments that ultimately felt unnecessary. I think perhaps if you were watching this week to week, an episode at a time, you'd want those flashbacks, but they didn't entirely feel necessary, in a sort of binge watch fashion.
So, as we always tend to do, should we do a character rundown of the Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because it is a character-driven show, isn't it? So it sort of lives and dies on these characters and how much time you want to spend with the family.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's run through them.
We'll just run down in order, I guess. So, number 1, Luther.
Or Space Boy.
Space Boy, yep.
I am sad they didn't really get their names in the series. They just got either their number or their name, because I would have loved to hear them called Space Boy and Kraken.
Yeah, so in the show, and the book, but in the show, he's a leader. He's the one that follows orders right up until the end.
Yep.
And he has to come to terms that his father wasn't always right.
Yes. He seems to be one of the characters who got criticised a lot online from what I've read. Whereas a lot of other characters who literally kill people, got excused because of trauma. And you're trying to impress upon people that all of these characters have suffered trauma in different levels. So he is the complete opposite of number 7, Vanya, who is told her whole life that she is not special. He is told his whole life that he is the leader and this is his duty.
Yes.
And it has as much of a toll on him as it does on her. And I think that that's an interesting dynamic, that it's not quite as easy to forgive when he does something wrong because he's so straight-laced a lot of the time.
Yeah. To paraphrase, to quote the show, they all want to be loved by a man incapable of giving love.
Yes, exactly right.
Which, it's affected all these people in various ways. But he's the straight-laced one. And then he goes a little bit off the rails towards the end and he goes through a rave and whatever. Yeah. I did find that quite funny. But he's the one that it affects it. Like he comes to that decision quite late on in life.
Yes.
Because he didn't leave. He's always been there, apart from when he was on the moon.
That's right, because the burden of responsibility was always put on him, and that has a heavy toll on him, and obviously has ramifications on, especially later in the series, decisions he makes with regards to Vanya, which apparently have proved to be unpopular, but it's completely understandable, I think, why that character would follow through with those actions. Yeah. I think it's believable that he is a man burdened with responsibility.
The only thing that annoys me about what happens towards the end, where she gets put in that little cell block place, is that he could have literally grabbed the pad off of Alison, wrote down a note saying, we're going to keep you in there for a little bit of time, rather than just going, bye, you're in there now, see ya.
But then this is the point of the show is, ultimately that all of these bad decisions that all of these characters make leads to the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it was largely unavoidable or completely unavoidable.
Yeah, well, this is the phrase that I wanted to say earlier. To paraphrase, there you go, Doctor Who, it's a fixed point in time. Effectively, you can't change it.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So, that's enough about number 1. Should we move on to number 2?
Such a child. Yeah, so number 2, he is exactly that. He's number 2, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't want to be number 2.
Yeah.
He wants to be number 1, but he also wants to be a lone wolf and go out on the field by himself.
He's got a hero complex.
Yeah.
And a bit of an inferiority complex. And Diego, we should say, the Kraken in the comic books, but that doesn't actually make any sense for the TV show because the TV show changed his powers.
Yeah, I had to actually look up what his powers were. I mean, I'd read the comic, and I was like, right, so what's his powers? Why is he called the Kraken? Because all of the other ones made sense.
Yeah.
And he can breathe underwater, is that right?
His power is to be able to breathe underwater in the comic books. So he's sort of used as black ops, wet work. He sort of sneaks into places and stabs them, which is why he has knives. I suppose the TV show felt that wasn't particularly cinematic or would limit his useful abilities to water-based crimes like Aquaman. He'd be like the Deep of the team. But no, I think, again, very believable in this sort of inferiority complex-driven character trying to prove himself constantly by being this sort of badass loner hero.
And he's such a badass that he eats raw eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, such a bad boy.
It's try hard, it's performative badass, down to his like little outfit with the leather straps on and things like that. It's so affected. And I think that's his story in series 2, where you see him breaking away from that sort of edgelord behaviour.
Yeah.
Is especially nice.
I did like this sort of backstory, I guess, of he was a mummy's boy. And obviously their mum in this is a robot.
Yeah.
She's a classic 50s housewife, which you don't quite realise that until maybe sort of episode 2 or 3. But yeah, so he's the one that attached to her the most out of all of them.
He's also, of course, got the stutter or the stammer, which comes out in terms of grief. And I think that's a nice little touch just of character building. It's not sort of only really features in one episode and then makes appearances elsewhere. But it's, I think it's an interesting little touch. Because obviously all of that is made up for the show.
Yeah. It works in the contents of the show. Like you said, you can't compare that to the comics because it's a totally different character.
Absolutely, yeah, he is a bit. But he's still, in the comics, he is still the going it alone edgelord. And I think he makes a good contrast to number 1, Space Boy.
Yeah.
Next up, you've got Allison, number 3, or The Rumour.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I would say she's the most grown up out of all of them. Maybe not including Vanya. She's moved away. She's had a career, had a family, but then you realise that she's used her powers for personal profit a bit too much.
But yeah, exactly. And on her loved ones as well. And I think this is it. She's the one who seems to have it all together from an outside perspective. And I think other members of the family see her like that as well. But obviously there's actually one of the sort of darker things about the family in general is the way that she used her powers on her husband and child. It's very, very dark and creepy in a way. It's the thing about a character like that with a power like that. You've got it with Purple Man in Jessica Jones. Kilgrave. You still have almost got that thing where if someone is born with this power and raised with it and has it at their fingertips, the temptation to use it is always going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
How does that affect someone?
Of course. Is that what you styled your look on then today?
I have gone as my best Purple Man outfit.
Just to let the listeners know, he's in his purple pyjamas, very satiny, silky boys.
They are silky smooth. That's right.
Anyway, there's not really much else to say on Alison. She's not the most interesting character, I would say personally.
I like this duality of seeming like she's together but actually having a darker element to her. This is the thing I find about the show, is that actually there's not a fully dislikable character, but neither is there a wholly likable character amongst them. They're all kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And speaking of messed up, let's move on to Klaus, number 4.
Klaus, number 4.
Or the Seance.
Seance, yes. Hands down, my favourite.
Okay.
I love Klaus. I love Robert Sheehan.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Sheehan. Great actor. He was great in this. Great in Misfits.
Yep.
And there's a film called Bad Samaritan.
Okay.
Which is him and David Tennant. Great film. I would recommend that. Effectively, it's a guy who steals a car, breaks into someone's house, and then he realises that the guy's house he's broken into is a psychopath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a mad film, but it's really good.
Well, it's funny you say about Misfits, though, because the vibe that I got from this show, first time watching it, is very Misfits in a way. You're ordinary people, superpowers, but dysfunctional people. So, yeah, I think he is really good casting. It's interesting you say you really like him. He is a likeable character. He's got a lot of charisma, but I think this is the thing with him, is he's so likeable from an outside perspective, but if you were in his family, he would be the most frustrating person in the world.
Oh, yeah, you'd hate
he
him.
would be infuriating, as anyone knows who's got sort of a fuck up in their family.
Yeah.
Ian, you probably just ask your family what they think.
Got him.
Yes.
Got me. Yeah. He's a junkie turned war vet, so that's quite an interesting little twist, I guess. The reason that he has to be it, or the reason that he is a junkie, I should say, is that he needs to be high to numb his powers. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just a junkie because he's a junkie. He's overused drugs to numb his powers, which then has affected him more than just as powers would by themselves. Make sense?
Yeah, it's somewhat of an excuse to himself that he says that as well, though. You know, it's a bit of an excuse. And it is just, again, a result of his childhood trauma, his upbringing.
Yeah. But yeah, he's the one that I think brings the humour. And it's misplaced a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then, like, there's that scene where he's dancing around in his towel and his Walkman while the house is being attacked. Like, yep, classic Klaus. But yeah, he's also twisted as well. He's crazy, as seen in the glass eye office with number 5.
Yes.
I mean, effective, but crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, a nice little way to move on to number 5, I guess.
Yeah, speaking of number 5, my favourite character, actually.
Yeah.
I really like number 5. Yeah, I think the actor they get for that role is excellent. It's portraying a much older person and quite an unhinged older person in the body of a child. I think he does a very good job with it. Just a very interesting take, almost the straight man to everyone else. If he weren't if he were an adult, if he were a grizzled adult saying the things he was saying, he'd just be another number 2. But as it is, he's
the child, but he's not a child.
A 13-year-old in a school uniform. Killing people with pencils.
I love how he's committed to the outfit as well, because he doesn't have to wear the sweat vest or the tie or even the socks up to the knee, but he still does.
No, this is it. He sort of, the first time he gets it, he goes into his wardrobe and it's the only thing there. But I mean, it's a key point that he routinely visits a shopping centre.
Yeah, just buy some more clothes. Or just take them.
Yeah.
Steal them.
Steal them.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, you've killed plenty of people. You could probably steal a t-shirt or some jeans.
Yeah. He's got a theme and he's sticking with it.
Yeah. Yeah, he also works, he goes off and, well, I say goes off, his past, present, future, whatever it is. He works as a temporal agent, or sorry, assassin, I think it is, for the Commission.
Yeah.
Which is very much like the TVA from Loki.
It is indeed.
They hop into various time points and stop them or prevent them or help them or whatever they do.
Yeah, and that adds some elements with regards to the storylines, which doesn't actually appear much in the first 6 issues. We'll talk about this a bit later, but this is something that comes up more in subsequent volumes.
Yeah.
Does appear in this first volume, but it's not the focal point. Right, next one's going to be a fairly quick one, I feel.
Yeah.
Ben, number 6, the horror.
Yes, Beast Boy, as I call him. I don't know what else to call him.
The horror.
The horror, yeah.
Ben.
But, I mean, well, I was going to save this for the comic section. I had to actually look up what his name was called, because I don't think in the comics they call him the horror. So I actually had to look it up.
Yeah, because he's kind of dead, as he is in the TV show, really. In fact, in the comic book, he doesn't really appear outside of flashbacks.
Yeah.
Whereas in the TV show, they've made him a bit more of a spectral figure haunting Klaus, but
yeah,
doesn't get a lot to do, has a couple of good moments.
He's Klaus's sidekick, pretty much. Like I said, we don't get a lot of his backstory in the first season. Obviously expanded in season 2.
And it looks like it's going to be expanded even further in series 3.
Yes, exactly, with the sparrows.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, not really much. I like him, but let's move on.
Right, Vanya.
Yes.
Vanya, number 7, the white violin.
I just want to say, when we're talking about the character, I will use the term she.
Yep.
I know that it's played by Elliot Page.
Yes.
But for the contents of talking about the character, I will probably say she, because it is a female character.
It is indeed, yes. So I think it's completely fair to refer to the character until we know otherwise as she. Okay, so yeah, what do you think of her?
Well, she's the reject. Not in my view. She's the runt of the family. She's not special. Or is she? Dun dun dun.
She is, yeah.
Oh, she is. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't
Did you
actually
not
finish
see the end of the show?
No, I didn't finish it. Sorry.
Sorry, spoiler.
Oh, hold on. Just pause and I'll go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's been manipulated by her dad in her childhood.
Yeah.
And then when she's an adult, she's manipulated by Harold or Leonard, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
So she's under someone's control at various points of her life.
Yeah, to a degree. I think she's certainly mistreated and marginalised. And she's quite a subdued character. I think Elliot Page does a really good job with playing what could be quite a bland and understated character.
Yeah.
You really understand that there is a lot of pain there. And obviously then someone enters her life who makes her feel special for the first time. And obviously it has an adverse effect on her to the extent where she does start killing people, which is, an extreme reaction, but one that is perhaps understandable. And ultimately, obviously, it all hinges on whether you find that transition from mild-mannered to wanting to destroy the world believable.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it does a good job with it. I think it is a bit of a heel turn at one point. I mean, the whole thing is a heel turn, obviously, but I do think that it builds up to it gradually enough that when that snapping moment happens, it isn't completely jarring.
Yeah, and I think I prefer the character's arc in the show more than the comic.
Yes.
It's okay, done in the comic. In the show, there is more time to develop it, and it makes a little bit more sense to me anyway.
Yes, she's in the comics. She is a lot more typical bad guy. You know, she is maligned by the group in the same way and ignored and made to feel not special. So she snaps and goes evil, and it is very much that reaction, like a prototypical comic book villain. Really,
Yeah,
you know, it's not so much the growing complexity that you have here.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then obviously she kills Harold, or whatever you want to call him, in a way that reminds me of Professor X in X3. I half expected him to just like disintegrate into nothingness.
Yes.
But no, he just fell to the floor.
He did. Yeah, he got stabbed
Buried.
a lot.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
fair enough. But yeah, I do find that character, as in Harold, or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy. I do find him quite interesting, that he is a lonely boy turned psychopath, and his arc is very similar to Vanya's in the way that they are ignored, they're not special, all of this sort of stuff. And then when they sort of cross paths, if you will, you think, oh, you know, that's quite handy. Look at these two. Oh, that's so cute. Uh-oh. No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think before you find out his backstory, you do obviously know that he's a wrong-un, so it's not so much, oh, that's cute. But no, yeah, I could see in another world those two having a lot in common and being happy together in a way, but yeah, not to be here. I do believe he is an interesting addition for the show because he is not in the comic book, and I think as the driving force for why Vanya does what she does, I think he is necessary for the show. I think it wouldn't work quite as well if you had the Black Orchestra or whatever you call them in the comic books. It wouldn't work in the same way because, as I say, the comic book is a very different beast. So, but we'll go on to that a bit later.
Yeah, I mean, you want to move on to the comic?
Okay, yeah. No, absolutely. That is all the characters. So let's move on to the comic book. I've already done the preamble. It is similar, although the comics have a very different sensibility. They are irreverent in the best possible way, but also they're an affectionate homage to rip-roaring adventure comics of old. They are fast-paced and pulpy. It sort of reminds me, perhaps not surprising as they're both published by Dark Horse, actually, of Hellboy, which also started off with these very short, self-contained, kind of goofy adventures. And that is what this is.
You'll be surprised. I've read Hellboy.
You have. I do know you have.
The Seed of Destruction.
Yeah, exactly right. But there's a lot of short stories and things like that appeared beforehand. Hellboy fighting, gorilla with a Nazi brain or something like that. They're all quite goofy stuff. So, I mean, you're reading this for the first time.
Yes.
What did you think of Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite?
Yeah, so putting the show aside, the comic, very, very odd. Like you said, it's different, it's unusual. Great artwork, just want to sort of chuck that out there first of all. Very cool, very interesting. Almost reminds me of The League.
Yeah.
Alan Moore's The Extraordinary Gentleman. Just of the way that it's drawn and the way it has that feel of it.
Yeah, I love the art. The character design, I think, is excellent. Each design is immediately recognizable and gives you a sort of an instinctual understanding of some of that character.
Yeah.
So you look at Space Boy and you think, I know what that character is. And you look at, I think the TV show did a good job, however, in making it a more diverse lineup.
Yes.
I do think that you have a team of orphans adopted from around the globe, and it doesn't make much sense why they would all be white. But that is a fairly minor complaint.
I don't feel that each of the members have enough time in the limelight in the comic.
Yes, agreed.
I think they could be a lot more fleshed out, and I think the show does a great job of it. Yeah, so I feel that it doesn't have enough setup or backstory of these characters. To me, it kind of makes you assume, or you need to fill in the blanks. And the reason why I did, or I could, is because I watched the show first. So if I just read the comic on its own, I think I'd be left with a lot more questions of who and why and what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe more of that's answered in the second and third volume.
Yeah, to a degree, more is answered in the second and third volume and the backup stories, but also it is just a very different story. It isn't necessarily as character focused. It's a lot more spectacle focused.
Yeah.
The opening chapter is the day the Eiffel Tower went berserk. And it has a story with them fighting, the robot robot zombie Eiffel or whatever it was. And, all of this stuff is ridiculous and just thrown in there because it feels like an affectionate homage to pulp comic books. So it is very different, taking those bare bones of the story and the characters and then making it a character-driven show.
Yeah.
It really does recontextualize the whole story, which is really not what it is in the comic books, which is a lot more fast-paced.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I think there is character work there and it definitely is something that's built upon, but I don't think it's the focal point of this comic book.
Yeah. I did kind of expect this, though, because it's a 6-issue run. So it took me about an hour and a half to read very casually. So comparing an hour and a half read to a 10-hour show, of course, you're going to get much more time to flesh out the characters and to flesh out the story.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
And like a lot of the other adaptations that we've covered, there are plot points taken straight from the comic, but remolded and in the wrong order, such as the death of Pogo.
Yeah.
The rumour gets a throat slit.
Yes.
Five's time travel story. Yeah, so there are bits and bobs taken and reshaped.
And there are characters like Hazel and Char-Char who don't appear until Dallas, the storyline Dallas, the second volume, who are put into the first volume, or the first series here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are changes. They have taken things from later. And then subsequently, they then have to, in the second series, borrow from Hotel Oblivion for a chapter arc in the second series. And it has this sort of knock-on effect where they've taken so much from the second volume and put it into the first series.
Right, okay.
But no, I mean, in terms of, we talked about the art. Obviously, I like the writing as well. I mean, I do like, you can feel Gerard Way's influence as a musician all over this comic book. And I think it's interesting to see something as fully formed from a quote unquote celebrity author.
Yeah.
A lot of times a first time comic book writer, they're fans and they get given a comic book, but they aren't necessarily the best or strongest works. I do think that you can feel that Gerard Way is a fan of this style of comic book and this style of comic book storytelling, and it really does permeate it. I think there's also, as I say, feel his influence as a musician, because there are obviously musical references, the white violin, the orchestra, but also there's a lyricism to a lot of the dialogue and particularly the chapter titles. Things like we only see each other at weddings and funerals.
Yeah,
and
that sounds like an album.
It does, yeah, exactly. And Baby, I'll Be Your Frankenstein and things like that. They feel like they could be songs, even though there's nothing about them that is intrinsically musical.
Well, I did a little research of the guy, and I came across a YouTube clip. It's quite short, but he's walking around a comic book shop. He's talking about things and bits and bobs, and he said that he's a fan of Neil Gaiman's work.
Yep.
So, I've not really read, well, not really, I haven't read any of his books.
So Sandman, things like that.
Yep, his favourite book, so Way's favourite book is Dune, or June, or however you want to say it.
Right, okay, yeah.
His largest influences are Grant Morrison, who does a little intro to the book anyway. I didn't actually read, but I will do.
Yes, Grant Morrison, they do, yeah.
Watchmen and Akira.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there. I can see the Akira influence.
He loves classic Doctor Who, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And his favourite illustrator is James Jean, who did the covers for these comics, but also the cover for the Black Parade album.
Oh, right. Okay. That's interesting. So basically has a strong ties to science fiction.
Yeah. It's not just, I like comics, I'll write a book.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's a really sort of competent work and it's really well paced. But obviously the pace is very different, as we said. It's breakneck as opposed to quite a glacial pace you get in the TV show. And I'm actually impressed, as I say, as a first-time writer, being able to fit as much in here as they do and not having it feel too clumsy or too what I'm looking for
meat.
No exposition. There's not a whole lot of exposition. It doesn't have a character sit down and explain the plot, but you understand it.
Wait, did you say exposition?
No, I didn't. I said exposition with an X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's your position on eggs?
Oh, well, in that case, should we find out?
Let's do it. Iain's egg hunt. Iain's egg hunt. Iain's egg hunt.
I'm not yoking you. Right, so what I want to start off with is on the back of Vanya's book, it says, an incredible read, a revealing look into the amazing life of Vanya Hargreaves and the life that she has lived. I couldn't put it down. And why is this an egg? This is because that review was written by Gerard Way.
Oh, okay.
I saw that on the first episode and I literally paused and I was like, does that say Gerard Way? I was like, yes. Like, first episode, first egg. I was so happy.
Yeah, it's all downhill from there.
It's all downhill. But yeah, like we said, there are a bunch of references and sort of head nods to the comic.
Head nods.
Head nods. Tilts.
Head nods. A tip of the hat.
Tip of the hat. A tip of the hat to you, sir. In their father's office, there's a framed newspaper headline that says Eiffel Power. Obviously a hint to the comics.
Yeah.
And in the first issue, the poster for Diego's fight says Diego the Kraken Hargreaves. So his name does appear in there, but just on a poster.
Yeah.
There's also fan signs in the crowd of seance and Space Boy and stuff. So there are little bits and bobs in there.
Yeah.
In episode 7, when Harold, or we see his backstory, when he's a child, he's playing with toys and he's playing with Dr. Terminal, a reference to issue 3.
Yes.
And Claire, Alison's daughter, is holding a cuddly toy of a monkey. I believe this is a little head nod to number 1 being a bit of a monkey man kind of character. I think even Diego calls him that at one point.
He does, yes.
And she even calls him Space Boy as well when she talks to him on the phone.
Yeah.
So these names, like we said earlier, they are placed in there, but they're not necessarily used overall as these are our code names, if you will.
Yeah, no, they're sort of sprinkled throughout as little affectionate nicknames as opposed to code names. Yeah.
Or someone being horrible. Oh, you big old ape or whatever Diego says.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also a fair bit of foreshadowing on this. So when Mom, the 50s style robot, is cross-stitching just before she dies, it looks like the moon with a massive chunk taken out of it, obviously hinting towards the end of it. And when they were kids, their dad monitors them in their sleep, including Vanya, so sort of hinting that she actually does have powers, because if she was ordinary, why would you bother?
Yeah, that's fair.
There you go. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's just a nice little handful of eggs that I thought I'd sprinkle into our listeners' ears.
Sprinkle eggs into people's ears.
There you go.
Well, lovely. Okay, well, hope you like it. Egg ears, everyone. Iain creeping in the dead of night to sprinkle the eggs in. Oh, nom, 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 nom.
Well, there you go.
Right. Okay. You've thrown me with that analogy. Yeah, very nice. That I was going to say there is obviously another hint about Vanya's power is the idea. I don't know if it's in the show, but it's definitely in the comics. This idea that they were ranked in accordance of the usefulness of their powers or the power of their powers. And you're first meant to believe that means that number 1 has the most useful power and et cetera, et cetera. But in actual fact, the reverse is true.
Yeah.
So 1 to 7.
Yeah, never really thought about that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the conclusion, shall we? So the first season and the comic book, what were your thoughts?
First season, I loved it. When it first came out, I did think this is quite a different take. Even though it's a team of superheroes, it stands on its own feet, I think. Something that I didn't say earlier on, actually, to be fair, was that even after the first episode, I'm left with a lot of questions.
Yes.
And even though I've watched it before, these questions did come back to me, like what happened to Ben? What's wrong with their mum? How did their dad die? Where did number 5 go? And how does the world end? I know a lot of the answers now, but it's a very intriguing opening. And I think the first season, it's intriguing. There's a lot of what's going on here rather than just in-your-face violence.
Yes. Yeah, that's the difference between this and something like The Boys, which is entertaining, but a lot of that entertainment comes from shock value. Whereas, like you say, a lot of the drama here comes from the characters. And I like the show as well. I think it does a really good job of padding out the bare bones of the comic book, as I said, adding to it, sometimes taking from other volumes.
Yep.
Sometimes I feel that the 10-episode runtime causes things to be a little bit decompressed, but that's a fairly minor quibble. As is, actually, I didn't say this earlier, but some of the musical interludes, particularly at the beginning of the episode, did you ever watch Hollyoaks?
Yeah.
Do you remember at the beginning of every episode? I'm not sure if it was every episode, but all the episodes I've seen, there was always a bit where it starts with a weird montage set to a pop song, and it's like just shows where all the characters are. There's some bits in the show that reminded me of that, but again, that's getting off topic. And the comic book?
A comic book? Yeah, really, really good. This is one that I've actually read in a book form. So I've got the book here and I read it through. The last maybe 2-3 episodes we've done, I've actually downloaded it on my tablet.
Yep.
So I've not held a book for a long time, and I think that helped me enjoy it more.
Yeah.
I was skipping through the pages very quickly because I was into it.
Yes.
I wasn't hurrying to get through it.
I always prefer physical media in terms of reading a page to reading off a screen. Certainly, yeah, definitely.
I think the last one was Wanted, I think.
Maybe not. But you enjoyed it?
Yes, it's one that, I always say this, but I think it is one that I want to continue reading. And as of recording this, there's 3 volumes out. I think they're doing the 4th one currently.
There might be 4 out already.
Was the 4th out already this year or So it's not like, you've got, let's say, 24 comics to read.
Yeah.
It's not 1,000 and a million like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a huge investment, and it's broken down into these sort of 6-issue chunks as well. So it's very easy to just pick one up, read it. It's self-contained, but the story would continue. So yeah, I like that. I like the comic a lot. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I really like that sort of breakneck pulp adventure speed. It's one of these strange things. People may prefer the TV series to the comic. People might prefer the comic to the TV series. But I wouldn't say one is inherently better or worse. This is the thing.
No.
I think they are very different beasts, and your enjoyment of those things is perhaps going to be down to what you experienced first and what you gain enjoyment from. And so I really like the comic book. I really like the series, but they are very different things.
I'm assuming that you'll be watching season 3 and carrying on with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Part of the reason we're doing this is a bit of a catch-up before Series 3, the same way we did The Boys. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I'll definitely be watching Series 3.
Cool. Yeah, same here.
And what was Kate's quick opinion of the series?
She said it was bloody fantastic and it's one of her favourite comic book shows.
Yes. Because she said in our anniversary episode last year that this is her most look forward to Series 3.
Yes.
So
she did indeed. I had a little chat with her this morning and we're talking about comic book shows because she's not watched that many shows. There's all the MCU stuff, Jessica Jones, she liked.
Yes.
WandaVision, she loved. Hawkeye, she loved. And this as well. So that's not in a particular order, but putting the Marvel aside, it would probably be one of her favourite non-Marvel shows.
Gotcha. But she doesn't really watch The Flash and things like that with you?
No, it'll be on and she'll walk in and then walk out again. What is this nonsense?
I can't blame her. Cannot blame her in the slightest.
Is this guy still just running as fast as he can? Yeah.
Is he still brooding?
Yeah.
Jesus. All right. Well, any other business?
Yeah. Have you ever wondered which member of the Umbrella Academy you are?
No, I haven't.
Well, we're about to find out.
No, I said no.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to find out for you.
Have we got another Buzzfeed quiz?
We got another Buzzfeed quiz.
Brilliant. Okay, all right. Let's get this up here. Disagree and exit. Okay.
Very quick. I think it's like 7 questions. But yeah, if we do the same we did last time for our Turtles Buzzfeed quiz, I'll answer yours on my screen, you answer mine on your screen, then we'll tell each other who we both are.
Okay, and this is the, just so people at home want to play along, this is, which Umbrella Academy character are you? And you can compare your results with the cast.
Oh.
Let's not do that.
Exciting stuff.
All right, well, fire away. First question.
Right, so first question is, how would your BFFs, best friends forever, I assume, describe you? This is quite interesting because we're on camera together.
We can, yes, so we can actually do this.
Yeah, out of the, I already know by looking at the answers what you're going to put for me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so clumsy, guarded, charming, romantic, badass, or loyal.
Right, yeah, you're clumsy.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
Yeah, you're absolutely clumsy. I'm picking clumsy for you now. There you go.
I would say out of those, you're guarded, I'm going to say.
Yeah, that is probably what I picked for myself. That or ridiculously charming and badass.
A romantic, loyal badass, but you can't pick more than one. Right, so next one.
The next one is pick the superhero you relate to the most. And the options here are Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Black Panther, Spider-Man, or Storm.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean...
Well, that's the end of that quiz then.
Great quiz so far. I mean... Spider-Man, I assume. That's what I'm going to go for. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if it was like, what was your favourite? Actually, out of those ones, it probably still would be Spider-Man. But relatability, Spider-Man is up there, isn't he? As far as relatable superheroes go, he's the original and the best.
Exactly. So we both put in Spider-Man. Right, third question. What are you most likely doing in your free time? Sleeping, dancing, shopping, texting, watching TV, or cooking?
Hold on, this doesn't... What? Like... What do you constitute as free time? Most likely doing in my free time?
Yeah.
I spend like 8 hours a day sleeping. I mean, clearly the answer is that, but that's everyone's answer.
Yeah, if you had free time to kill, like, would you have a nap? Would you go dancing? Would you go shopping? I guess.
Okay, right. So not like just the functions I need to live.
No, because we all cook, right? We all sleep, right?
Yeah.
We all shop. We all watch TV. I mean, and we all text. We don't all dance, but...
Well, no, I get... So the answer is what are you most likely to be doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I mean, it's definitely... The answer is ordinarily for everyone should be sleeping, because I'm assuming you don't spend more than 8 hours a day cooking, unless you're a chef, and then it's not your free time. Anyway.
Right, stop being pedantic and tell me an answer.
All right, watching TV.
Watching TV. Okay, I'm going to go for cooking.
You do cook.
Yeah.
You cook way more than you watch TV.
Well, no, if I cook a fair bit, and being an ex-chef,
Yeah.
I will spend time in the kitchen putting on some music,
No.
and I'll be cooking some food.
I completely agree with you, but that isn't the question. The question is, what are you most likely to be doing in your free time?
Wow, shut up.
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the creator of this quiz.
Well, you know what? I created it. It was me.
In that case, I am blaming you. Right, pick an early 2000s song to jam out to.
All right.
Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott, Thong Song by Cisco, 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton, Wherever, Whenever by Shakira, I'm Like a Bird by Nelly Furtado, and Hey Ya by Outkast.
I mean, I'm going to go for Thong Song.
Yeah, I mean, that's in keeping with your character. No, I'm going to go Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott.
Get your freak on, you freaky little fuck.
All right. Jesus.
Sorry. I just came to this.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Sounded like a command. This isn't one of your usual live streams, Ian. Can't tell me what to do.
This episode's suddenly become explicit. Oh, well. Right. Which member...
You're right there.
Hold on. Right. Which member of the commission would you want to be for a day? Cha-Cha, Hazel, or the Handler?
Right, okay. Obviously, I want to be Hazel out of those three characters, but
Yeah.
to be honest, that's not the question. The question is, what would I want to be for one day? And the only thing we see of Hazel in Cha-Cha is they have a terrible time.
Yeah.
So let's go with the Handler.
Yeah, I mean... No, I'm going to go for Hazel. Because he's a big old strong guy and he likes donuts.
He does. And you'd want to just pot around eating donuts for a day and occasionally getting beaten up.
Yeah, sure. Why
All
not?
right,
But you're going for Handler.
Let's go for the Handler. She's got a lot of power.
All right, cool.
Right, next one is pick a treat from Griddy's Donuts. You got options here. Strawberry donut, chocolate donut, white chocolate donut, glazed donut, cookie crumble donut, or jelly-filled donut.
Oh, I mean, there are pictures on here as well.
There
So
are.
the cookie crumble does look pretty damn tasty.
It does. Those jelly-filled donuts seem to have jam on top of them as opposed to be filled, but
Yeah.
they're probably filled as well. Anyway, what are you going for?
Cookie crumble.
You're going cookie crumble.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for, depending on the type of jelly inside, I'm going to go with jelly-filled.
Jelly-filled.
I like a filling to my donut. I like my donut filled.
That's the end of that.
That's more for the explicit for you then. Right.
And finally, choose an iconic moment in history to travel back to.
Right.
The moon landing, the invention of broadcast TV, the March on Washington,
Right.
the birth of William Shakespeare, the first performance of the Beatles in South England, or Muhammad Ali's boxing match against Sonny Liston in 65.
Right, okay, I've got more problems with this quiz. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
The birth of Shakespeare.
birth of William Shakespeare. Why would I want to go back and watch that? That's
Just
just...
a baby, right?
Oh, it's Shakespeare. I'd want to go back and see one of his plays performed. Sure.
Well, meet the guy.
Yeah, even better. Don't care about the birth of William Shakespeare. Invention of broadcast television, I imagine, was a fairly minor event in terms of, I don't think they
Yeah.
just invented it and then went, right, quick, broadcast, go. Was this first performance of Beatles in South England? That seems
Yeah.
like what? So not their Liverpool
Like London?
early days? Like,
London, I guess? Yeah, I don't know.
is that a historic event? Anyway, I'm going to go for the moon landing. I think is the obvious answer there. I'm going to go with moon landing.
I mean, to be fair, when I found this quiz, I quickly skimmed through it, and my immediate reaction to this question was to go see Beatles. Even though it's quite a weirdly worded question,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to go for the Beatles.
I think actually that's not a bad shout because you get to see the Beatles,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem to be like that. Seems like a weird performance to choose, unless it was
Yeah.
a notable one.
It's not like them saying, go and see them in the cavern or the tavern. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah,
up
in Liverpool.
Yeah, but that's not South England.
No. Right. Beatles it
Are
is.
we both going for the Beatles then? All right.
No, I'm not going for the Beatles. I'm going for moon landing.
Oh.
You got to restart it, haven't you? I have your answer, by the way.
Moon landing. Oh, I didn't change the answer anyway. But
It was a waste of everyone's time.
fucking shit. Right, so you are number 7, the white violin.
Right.
And it says, anyone who knows you will say that you're usually shy and reserved at first.
Ian, is that true?
I mean, not really. You're normally loud and obnoxious, but anyway, you can be a bit of a people pleaser, but once you let your guard down, those around you are usually shocked and impressed by the sheer force of nature that you possess.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I can be a little shy sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I am, as you well know, a sheer force of nature.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah.
they call me Galactus.
Go on then. Which
Right.
person am I? Am I Pogo, the monkey butler?
You are the clumsy monkey butler. No, you'll be happy to know that you are Klaus.
Yes.
You are number 4. Everyone's favourite slacker.
All right.
You don't like to be tied down, and guess what? That's okay. You tend to get bored easily and talk to yourself when nobody's watching.
Yep.
Yet somehow you get things done.
Yep.
Hey, nobody ever said you can't be quirky and cool, and nobody said you could be either.
Oh, was that you?
It doesn't say the last line.
Nah, I thought that's you, and you just let your guard down, and I am shocked and impressed.
Shocked and impressed.
I think I preferred the Turtles quiz.
I think I did. I think I liked that one more because we weren't being like, oh, what's your personality? It was basically pick a cheese for your pizza, which was kind of...
What pizza do you want to order?
And then it just gave you a random turtle, really, at the end, didn't it? I don't really think there was any personality going in that. What topping do you like on your pizza? Okay, you're Leonardo. All right, fine.
All right, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
No one cares. Right, anyway.
That's enough of that, I think. Do you enjoy that? Are you happy you're Klaus?
Yeah, I think out of all of them, Klaus is the one I would want to be, so you can talk to the dead.
Yeah.
Which is quite a cool power.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Just on the topic of, I'm not too sure if we've ever asked this on the podcast, but if you were to have a power not constricted by this show, just overall, what power would you choose?
Oh, God, that's a hard one. So not one of the 7...
No, just like if you would have a superpower, mine would probably be teleportation.
Teleportation.
Yeah.
Can I just go...
All the powers.
Like, magic?
Magic, yeah. I mean,
Can I
if
just
that's
go
what
like
you
Doctor
wanted.
Strange power? I just go magic
That's what
and
you
just
want.
be like, I can literally do anything at that point, can't you? You can just,
Yeah.
well, it does seem like a cheat. It's like saying reality manipulation. It's kind of just like,
Hmm.
I can just do everything. I mean, I've got to say, actually, the old space and time powers,
Yeah.
number 5's powers, are pretty handy. I would like those if I had full control over the time travel aspects and things like that.
And you were a 13-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy, whoever it was.
Well, no, that's not really part of his powers. That's more a mistake.
Well, I mean,
but...
you get stuck in your 10-year-old
Yeah.
self.
But like space and time, like Hero from Heroes.
Yeah.
That's the second Hero shout out we've had in as many episodes.
Yeah, that is a show that I might actually go back and rewatch. Because that came on iPlayer.
Definitely not. Anyway, stop getting sidetracked. Right. That's all for this episode. Thank you once again for listening. If you enjoyed this helping of frothy comic book chit-chat, then why not subscribe so you can get extra helpings in all our future episodes. Episodes such as our next one, in which, once again, in a desperate attempt to appear up-to-date whilst watching and reading things that came out years ago, we're marking the release of Thor: Love and Thunder by watching Thor: Ragnarok. And to accompany the previous Thor film in preparation for the upcoming Thor film, we're reading a comic in which Thor doesn't appear. So join us next episode as we watch Thor: Ragnarok and read Planet Hulk.
I'm so glad that we were watching Thor: Ragnarok, because it's been a while since we've seen Carl Urban on the screen.
Oh!
More
Genuinely
Urban.
didn't realise he was... Yeah. Should we just scrap this whole idea of a podcast and just cover the oeuvre of Carl Urban films?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah? It's a new podcast idea. Right, this one's coming to an end. Bye, everyone. Next week, we're picking up on Carl Urban. Join us for Become the Carl Urban.
Join us for Carl the Urban.
I feel like we're going to run out of films fairly quickly. I mean, we've got the Star Treks, we've got Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Was he in the Hobbits?
No, I don't think he wasn't in those. He wasn't even in the first Lord of the Rings, so we've got to skip that one.
Oh, right.
That's a terrible way to watch it.
Just watch two.
Whoa. And then I'm struggling anyway. I'm sure he's in more.
Anyway.
Find out next time on Carl the Urban.
Coming soon to theatres near you.
Wherever you find your podcasts. Let's hit stop. Bye.
Bye.